I can't see your screen.
I'm gonna refresh. This way. Reshare it. Okay, there we go. Should be good. I'm gonna pause my share. All right, guys. So the workshop is going to begin shortly. So Andrew, if you could just share your screen.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so let me just share. Am I co-host yet or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. So are we live streaming now or do we start yet?
Yeah, we can go ahead
We're
and
live.
start.
All right, okay. Yeah, so hey guys, welcome to Intro to Firebase Web workshop. So just a quick overview on what we're doing in this workshop is we're going to be using React, if you guys are familiar with it. Just a really basic introductory point of React, but we're basically going to be creating a React web app using Firebase. So here you're going to be learning a bit of Firebase and a little bit of React, but I'm kind of expecting you guys to know a little bit of React already. But if you guys don't know yet, it's fine. It's pretty easy to pick up. And I think Soma will be joining later on, but yeah. So first off, what is Firebase? Basically what Firebase is, it's kind of like this tool that Google provides. And I mean, lately, if you kind of been in software development, you've heard a lot about the cloud and a lot about migrating to the cloud. So for example, Firebase offers Firestore. And what Firestore is it's basically a database that is completely handled by Google, right? So it's a cloud database, which is, if you guys are familiar with Azure or AWS, right? They offer similar services to that. Sorry, I'm being interrupted. Okay. Yeah. And they also offer many other tools. So for example, they offer a real-time database. So that's a bit different than Firestore. What Firestore is kind of like a traditional like document key pair type database. And that's kind of for permanent long-lasting documents and stuff like that. But if you want to build like a chat app or something that requires constant reading and writing for your hackathon project, then you would use real-time database. Because what real-time database really excels at is that the real-time database handles reads and writes. So basically, whenever you read from the database or whenever you want to write from the database, it handles that really quickly compared to Firestore. But there are downsides to real-time database. There are a couple downsides. There are like some pricing downsides, but for your small projects, you don't really have to worry about them, right? They also offer many other tools. So for example, usually if your project needs like some type of user authentication, that might be kind of tricky and frankly, just repetitive to implement in your project, right? Because in every project, it's kind of the same thing and it's kind of annoying. So basically what Firebase does is it handles all of that for you. It handles storing the passwords for you, handles logging in and logging out, handles user sessions, handles JW tokens, all of that stuff for you. Oh yeah, and just to go over that, if you don't know what that is, for example, like user sessions, that's like when you're like logged in to like a like for example, like your Gmail account. When you're logged in, you kind of for Gmail they have like a long-lasting user session, right? You don't log out until you choose to log out. So that's basically what a user session is. And a JW token is basically kind of like this string or token that basically identifies that you are logged in. It's like a token of authentication. So and there's some more tools, but I'll show that off in the Firebase console. So now let's actually get to creating a project. So here. So I'll just move on to here and yeah. So basically what you can do is you just go to firebase.com and you should just get introduced to this kind of like landing page, right? So here, and then you click get started. And then for you guys, you should have a empty console, but I already have some other project. So let's get on to with a example project. I'll call this COVID hacks. workshop. I'll just make sure everyone's on this. And this is just basically a name for your project, how you identify this project. It doesn't really mean anything, so you can call it whatever your project is going to be called. Okay, so after naming your project, then it shows kind of Google Analytics that may come with your project. So this can include A/B testing. And basically what this is it allows you to experiment with your app and stuff like that. So it has like a lot of testing and a lot of analytics that comes with it. But right now for your small project, since you're not going to really have a user base right now, this stuff isn't really important. It's really useful though for if your project actually gets users and stuff like that. For example, right here, this basically measures how often your app crashes and then why it crashes, what happened before it crashes. So it logs everything before it crashes. So this can help like find bugs in your code, or not even bugs in your code, but like bugs in like your architecture, how you can reform it, make it better to handle more users. Yeah, and for the rest of this, you can kind of ignore for now because, and we're not even going to be talking about Cloud Functions because we're just talking about a Firebase client right now. But a lot of this you're not going to use right now. Oh yeah, so I do not want Google Analytics for that. So we don't need to have Google Analytics for now, and I'll just create the project. Yeah, so right now it's just kind of loading everything, setting everything up on their side, and we just gotta wait right here. I'll wait for everyone to, load up their project if they are creating a project. So you can see on the landing page right here, there's so much stuff right here. There's authentication, like I talked about earlier. There's Firestore. There's like all these analytics stuff. There's cloud messaging, which is a bit different than real-time database, but they kind of handle the messaging for you. They have like a testing kind of extension right here. And they have other extensions that you can use. Right here, there's resize images, translate text. But we're not going to be focusing on any specific extensions right now. Okay, so right now you can see Firebase offers it for iOS, Android, web for client side, and they also have a admin side for like Java. They have it for Python, but right now we're just gonna be focused on client web. And yeah, so if you're also into game development, you can get into Unity, and they have great docs here. The documents are not really sure, but you can just search up Firebase docs, and you can get great docs for that. Yeah, and also this Spark plan basically is the free plan we're using right now. You guys can get a paid plan, but for this project, the Spark plan is fine. They give you a lot of free stuff. Okay. So let's just go over each of the things right now. So I'll actually set up authentication later on in the React app, but as you can see, authentication. Let's go to sign in method. Okay, right here, users. You can see all the users that are kind of signed in or have an account, but so far we haven't used this yet, so that's why it's empty. Now let's go to sign in method. So for sign in method, you can have email password, right? So if you're setting up email password for yourself, you have to do a lot of work on the back end, make sure you're storing passwords correctly and safely, and everything like that. So it might be difficult, but here, as you'll see later, it's super easy to do. There's phone, there's Google. So you sign in through Google, that's pretty easy. And there's a bunch of these things, but so far we're just gonna be worrying about email and password. But a lot of these things are really easy to implement. So templates, we're not going to be talking about this right now, but there's like email verification. There's like password resets you can send. So basically users can reset their password, and then we'll send through this email. And you can change this email to something else, to like if you buy a domain, you can change it to that domain and stuff. And then there's like mail server stuff if you want to set up a mail server and stuff like that. Yeah. And then this is usage rate. Obviously, right now we have 0 usage, but if your app grows and becomes big, you kind of have to worry about this because you are going to be billed on this, right? So if you ever want to expand this project past this hackathon, right, you should worry about this right here. Okay, now moving on to Firestore. Okay, so let's create our database right now because we're going to be using it soon. So let's start in, so right now we have two modes, production mode, and basically what production mode is like when you're actually in production. So when users are actually using this app, but right now we're just gonna be, you guys are gonna be making it for a hackathon project, right? So we're gonna be in test mode. And as you can see in production mode, what this is basically like the rules for the database right here. And right here, it just says allow read write. It just does not allow any read and write, because if you want to actually have it in production, you don't want people to just be able to freely read and write to your database, right? But for our purposes, we want it to be in test mode, so anyone can do it before this date, and you can change that if you want. But because right now we're just going to be kind of testing around with Firestore. Firestore location, let me just set it to near my location. Let me make this full screen actually. Yeah, so right now it's just setting up the database basically, and setting up security rules, everything like that. All right, so sorry, I'm being sorry about that. I'm just okay. Sorry about that. I think our other co-founder in STAC programming might jump on soon. All right, so right now you can see we have just like an empty database, and if you guys are familiar with like MongoDB, any document-based database, this should be super familiar with you guys. And right now, I'm just gonna start a collection like right here just to show you guys how it kind of looks like, but we're not actually gonna be manually doing this. But basically right here, each collection is defined by some collection ID. So for example, we can have a collection ID called users. All right. And then let's just give an example user. We can do auto ID, and this ID basically defines what defines like the kind of name for that document. And then here we have fields for this document. So for example, for users, we can have a username, and then we can, let's just put like Andrew, right? We can have like an email that associates with it, right? Something like that. But make sure to, let me just do this for now. But make sure not to actually store passwords in here, right? You shouldn't store passwords just in plain text in your Firestore. Obviously, you should have authentication handle that. And then you can have other stuff like first name, last name, stuff like that. But yeah, so you can see this the general structure of the database, but we're not actually going to be entering it in like this, but we're going to enter it in through code. But you can also have sub collections in a collection. So for example, right here in this collection, we can have another collection. It could be anything, right? Some sub collection in here. And let's just delete this document for now. Okay, and then rules here. We talked about this before. So right now I'm not gonna get into rules because you kind of have to, because right now we're just testing it out. But right now the default rule is that anyone can read and write to this database before this time. So this is kind of like a testing time, I guess. And if you really want to, you can change it, right, to whatever. Oh yeah, you can monitor rules. You can see who allows you to, who denies. So you can make sure that no one actually like, there's not like unexpected readings and writings. Indexes, I'm not going to talk about this. This is a little bit more complicated, but this is basically when you're querying your database, and that basically means when you're like getting data from your database. This is to make it more efficient and stuff like that. And this is just usage rates. Okay, and real-time database, as I said, it's mainly for if you're gonna rapidly read and write. Yeah, so that's kind of the main focus, and also the pricing is a bit different. So Firestore pricing is based on how many reads and writes you do. I think it's like you get like 50,000. It's like a couple, like $1. It's pretty cheap. But then this is just, it's not based on how many reads and writes you do. Yeah, and this storage is basically for example, Firestore, you can only kind of store strings, right? Did I delete my users collection? Okay. Yeah, so you can basically only store strings in here, right? You can have a field and you can store a string, a number, a Boolean. But what if you want to store some type of media, right? If you want to store an image, a video, something like that, you can't really store in here. I mean, you can technically try to store like its exact, like the string when you decode it, encode it and stuff. But the thing about that is that there is a limit to how long your value is. So you can't really do that. So that's what the storage is, but we're not going to really get into that unless I do have time. But yeah, you can store images, videos, documents, so like PDFs, yeah, anything like that. And hosting, so we are going to be talking about hosting today. So we're going to talk about how we actually host our React app. And this is pretty simple. And functions, we're not going to talk about that. And there's some machine learning stuff. It's not actually machine learning. You're just using their machine learning products. But yeah, we're not going to talk about that too. So let's actually start up our project. Okay, so now we're actually going to start up on a Firebase project. Let me just open up my. That's good. Okay, so right now we're going to be using our React app. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's fine. So I'll kind of walk you through it. But first off, I just have to make sure everyone has NPM. So does, oh wait, do we have, okay. Yeah, so we have to make sure everyone has NPM. And if you guys don't know what NPM is basically it's a package manager for Node. And so we also have to get Node too. Basically how you install Node is you can just go to their website right here. You can install from here, or you can curl from their URL. I don't remember the URL, but you can do that too. I think you can install from Homebrew if you use Mac OS, but this is just the most simplest way, I guess. So you guys should first install Node.js if you guys don't have that already. And then npm basically is a package manager for Node. So I think a lot of you guys are familiar with package manager. So for example, if you guys have done Swift programming, right, like app development, like npm is kind of like what's it called, CocoaPods, right, for Node. Or if you have done Python programming, it's kind of like pip a little bit, where like you have a pip environment and everything. So you can just install npm real quick. Okay, so after installing npm and Node, what you guys should do is install Firebase tools. And basically what Firebase tools will do for you is that it'll help you set up everything. So it'll help you set up like Firebase hosting, Firebase functions, anything you want. Basically how you do that is you type npm install -g. And what this means, if you guys aren't familiar with npm yet, this means npm, oh yeah, and you guys should open up some terminal right here, right? So it could be terminal on Mac or terminal on your Windows, doesn't really matter. So npm install -g, and what this install means is it's installing a package. So for example, Firebase is a package. So npm Firebase. So as you can see right here, this Firebase is a package, but right now we're going to be installing Firebase-tools. As you can see right here. So this is a package that we are going to be installing. And what this -g means is basically globally. So it's going to affect your whole computer. So just type that in, and I already have it installed, so it's not going to do anything for me. But yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to cancel. But you guys should install that. It should take a couple of seconds. It should be pretty quick. Okay, so yeah, after you have all this set up first, I mean, I think a lot of you guys have this set up because if you guys are already in web dev, right, you guys might already know about npm, Node, because those are really popular. And right now I'm just gonna make an example project. COVID hacks workshop. Okay. And in this project right here, we are going to be creating a React app. So yeah, so you guys might not be familiar with React. So there's this tool that creates a kind of like a bare bones React app just for you. It fills in all the fills in like all of the kind of boilerplate for you. And what you do is you just do npm install -g, and what this package is called is create -app. And I already have it installed, so it's not gonna do anything for me. Yeah, but install that real quick, and then you can basically just run it. And oh yeah, and just to show you, let me just open up like a folder right here. So right now my folder is empty, but as you can see, when I run the command, oh, sorry. And make sure to specify which folder you're doing. So right now I'm talking about this folder. So if you guys aren't familiar with the command line, that's just like a dot, right? That means the current folder you're in. Yeah, so right now it's basically, you can see how there's stuff slowly filling up. It's just kind of creating all of this boilerplate stuff for you, so you don't have to create it by yourself. So it does take a bit of time because there's a lot of stuff to set up before we get started with our React app. Yeah, so you can see right here, we have a couple of stuff. So while it's still installing, I'll just give a quick overview. README is just like, I mean, I think most of you guys are familiar with, is it's just like a README, like a description of the project. Public, so basically these, you shouldn't really alter this, to be honest, but you can see our index.html. If you guys are familiar with React, we kind of inject React into this index.html, right? We have a bunch of logos right here, a manifest, and then robots.txt. We have node modules. So right now you can see it installs a bunch of modules for us. Babel basically is, it kind of translates React to just regular JS, right? And setting that up by yourself can be a pain, and it kind of sets up all of this stuff for us. So you don't really have to care about what's in here. Okay, so now it's done. I'm going to be using VS Code for this, but you guys can use any IDE of your choice, of course. Okay, so now we have the setup. Most of the code we're going to be writing is going to be in source right here. So let's just look at source. So if you guys just kind of, if you guys just started with, if you guys haven't learned React yet, this might be a little bit overwhelming for you because there's just so many files that are here. But to be honest, you can just ignore all of them and then just care about app.js right now, app.js and index.js right now. Because currently a lot of these things are just boilerplates. So for example, right here, you can see like you don't really have to care about this stuff right now. There's some basic CSS. I can kind of delete this if I want. And then there's just all of this junk right here we don't really have to care about. And let me actually get it started. Yeah, so now we have our project. So how do we actually like run our project, right, to test it out? NPM actually, I mean, not NPM, Create React App actually sets you up with a really simple way to start it. So here you can just, actually you can see it from README. You can see in README, they describe how to kind of start it up. So for example, right here, you can see NPM start, it will just start up a local development server at port 3000. So I can just do that right now. And how you do that is you just do npm start. And right now it's just starting up the development server, and let's just check it out. Yeah, so right now you can see they kind of just created like some temporary landing page for you. And right now let's just get rid of it because we want to set it up with our own project. And where this stuff is happening is in app.js. So can I like chat with you guys, or okay, it doesn't seem like it. Okay, so if you guys aren't familiar with React, this might be a little bit challenging for you, but let me just go over a quick overview right now. So, I mean, you can technically just be ignorant of everything right now because right now the main focus is just Firebase. But right here, this basically just renders a the React app right here, and you can see app slash. This is kind of weird, right? It's like we kind of have like HTML in JS, which is kind of odd. But basically, what this thing is called right here is JSX. And if you guys want to get into more about React, you guys can search that up on React Docs. So yeah, right here, this app, what it's referencing to is actually this app, which is imported from /app. And as you can see, /app is right here. And you can kind of see this weird structure we have right here. We have returning and the same kind of, HTML and JS, which is called JSX right here. And yeah, I'm just going to go over a quick rundown about JSX. So as you can see, if you guys are familiar with HTML and CSS already, instead of class equals app, we have class name equals app, right? So just be wary of that. And same as right here. And now you might notice this weird curly brackets right here, right? And basically what these curly brackets is anything inside these curly brackets is pure JavaScript. It's not JSX anymore, okay? So sorry about that, someone's calling me. Wait, can you guys send over a Zoom link to Soma? Okay, so
Yeah, we
now, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so now going back to this, I'll describe more about that later, because right now we don't really have to focus about it, but let's just delete all of this right now, because I don't really care about this, and we can delete the same for app.css, because this is just basically for the fake landing page we have. Let's just delete that, and let's also delete, actually we can keep index.css. Okay, and then let's reload. Let's see. First, let's add some stuff, I guess. So let's go to app.js and let's add something right here. Let's, for example, and I'm assuming most of you guys are familiar with just like basic HTML. So you can kind of treat JSX as basic HTML. Let's just add a basic header that says, welcome to my app. Okay. And you can just refresh like that. And you can see our changes are present right now. Okay. Yeah, so let me just go a little bit more of a React stuff, just some really simple stuff. So as you can see right here, my IDE is already giving me a error because you can't fit in basically two fragments inside a return right here. So what you have to do is you kind of have to encapsulate it in one big div, or you can use there's some other stuff you can use, but I won't get into that right now. So for example, now you don't see an error. Yeah, so it has to be one kind of item you're returning. You can't return a div and an h1. So if you do want to return a div and an h1, you have to encapsulate it in another div. Okay. All right, so now we have, okay, so we're back here. Now we have our kind of, we kind of started our app now. Let me just give a quick overview through what index.js is doing right here when I do app slash. So when I do app slash right here, you can see app.js. I'm returning this kind of like div. So it's kind of weird if you guys are used to JS, but it's pretty convenient because right here, I'm returning a div and let's go back to index. And as you can see right here, the div is kind of being like inserted right there. And if we actually go to inspect element right here, right? So if we go to inspect element, let's go to body. Yeah, so you can see div ID root, div class app, and then you can see our welcome to my app thing right there. Oh yeah, and if you guys are confused on what div ID equals root is it's basically in index.html and div ID root is right here, right? So we're kind of inserting inside this div. All right, so now let's actually get started with some extra Firebase stuff. Let's pull up our terminal right here. And to get started with our Firebase stuff, what we have to do is we, as you can see, we installed Firebase-tools earlier, and we can use that basically to install a Firebase right here. So you can set up hosting, but right now we're not going to set up hosting. We're just going to set up the Firebase package, and make sure to not put a -g, because basically what -g does is it affects your whole computer. But what we want this is we want it to only be in this project, right? We only want it to be in this node modules. Okay, so it's just installing some stuff needed for Firebase, stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, so now it's done setting up. Okay, so now after it's done setting up, what we actually have to do is kind of activate this Firebase. So how we actually activate this Firebase is, let's first go to index.js right here. And then right before here, as you can see, we just installed it in our local node modules. So we can import from, oh, sorry, Firebase from the package Firebase, right? You can see my IDE automatically recognizes it right here. Okay, so now we have our Firebase package here. How do we actually initiate it and get it started? Let's go to project overview, and then right here, let's go to web app, and we'll just call this COVID hacks. Okay, so now it wants us to add our Firebase SDK. So if you guys were just using a regular HTML, CSS, JS website, JS site, you can use it through this, right? So you can basically add a script tag at the bottom of your page and then just load your Firebase through that way. What you can also do is let me just go to since we're using a React tab right here, we're not using CDN. What CDN is kind of inserting into the HTML directly. With the config right here, we just copy it over and then we paste it right here. And what we do with this config is we do Firebase, the Firebase we just imported up here, dot initialize app, and then you initialize it with the Firebase config. Okay, so now we have our app initialized. We can kind of just run it just to see if it goes fine. So yeah, nothing really went wrong right there. But yeah, so now we basically have our base Firebase app set up. And how do we actually start using our Firebase app? Obviously, I'm not going to teach everything about Firebase. So if you guys ever want to see more about what you can do with the Firebase module itself, what is this? Okay, there's some weird styling. Is you can actually go to just the Firebase docs, the Firebase web docs. Yeah, so the majority of the documentation should be on this page, /doc/web right here. And as you can see, we have some setups right here. It depends on if you want to do a CDN or if you want to do it from the kind of the package itself. And right now we're going to be talking about Firestore right here. Okay. So you can see everything is kind of here if you ever need like a quick reference, if you forget something, right? And as you can see, this setup right here is how you set it up on, using the script tags, or you can also use npm install Firebase like that. And as you can see, we just did that. We just initialized our app with basically this config right here. And let's actually get started with our database right now. So let's go to app.js. And let's just get started. Let's actually make this a class component. Yeah, so if you guys aren't familiar with React class component, I think most of you guys are familiar with what classes are. It's basically use class and set of functions, and I kind of prefer this method. Okay, and let's return the same h1. Welcome to my project. Make sure everything is still working. Yep. Okay, everything is still working. Okay, so now we have our app right here. Let us get what the component did mount. So since I really can't communicate with you guys, I'm not really sure if you guys are familiar with React or not, but what component did mount basically means is it's before this displays on the page, this function will be called. That's all you need to know for now. But if you guys want to get into more about React, you can just search that up. So this will basically happen before this actually displays right here. And for example, what we can do here is let's actually have a constructor. I think you guys all are familiar with what constructors are. Okay. And as you can see, it's pretty nice because we have kind of these live updates right here, right? Okay, and super, I think most of you guys know what super is. Okay, so now in our constructor, we have to, let's just initialize some information right now. So let's just say, for example, this dot, and then let's do state. And then let's just do example variable. If you guys don't know what this dot state is, right? If you guys are new to React, just imagine it as the state of the component. Okay, so this kind of stays the same right here. So it's, yeah, just think of it as the state of the component if you're new to React. Okay. And now let's actually get into what the curly brackets are. So as you can see, remember earlier from the boilerplate React app, we had the curly brackets in our app. So let's check out the curly brackets right here. As you can see right here in the curly brackets, we can just write any regular JS. So for example, I can do, let's do like 7 plus 2, right? As you can see, it renders 9, right? So any regular JS you want to put in here, you can put in here. So you can put like hello, that's hi. So yeah, so you can see it renders the JS right here and then puts it out in the H1. So what we're going to use this curly bracket for is we're going to reference example variable, and how we reference this is this dot state dot example var. As you can see, we got that example variable right here. And now let's actually read from our database in Firebase. So let me just create kind of like a dummy data to read from. Let's go back to my Firestore. And right now, let's just create a dummy collection. Okay. Yeah, so now we have our dummy collection right here. We basically have a fake document right here with a example field to read from. So now how we actually read from this database is, let's import Firebase first off. There we go. Okay, so now we have Firebase right here. Is we need to get our database ready. So let's get it ready right here. And basically where the database is const db is equal to Firebase dot and then Firestore right here. Yeah, so as you can see right here, this is our database, and there are a couple methods you can do, as you can see right there. Right now, let's just focus on reading an example document. So before mounting, let's just read it right here. So db dot, and if we want to read a specific document, so for example, this specific document right here, I'll make it a better name, I guess. Let me just create a Okay, so we just have an example document right here with a fake field. So right now we're just going to read from that document, and to get the path, so right here you can see document path. The path of this document is dummy, right? That's our first collection / test. So that is our document path right here. And right here, when I do that, it will basically read from that document, and I can do a dot get. And what this dot get will do is it will return a promise. And I mean, if you guys are familiar with JS, this should all be reviewed for you, but it will return a promise. So you can see I can do dot then dot catch. Since I'm using node 10, I think, I can use await. So I'll do const ref doc equals await db.doc right here. This really shouldn't be done, but okay. Yeah, so let's just kind of console log and see what doc we get right here. Okay, so let's go right here. No default app has been called. Oh, yeah, sorry, I don't think I initialized the app right here. Firebase.initialize app, Firebase config right here. Let's check it out. So right here, we're having problems with the initialization of an app. As you can see right here, do we get the right config? Oh yeah, I may have to restart the app. So whenever you set up Firebase, you may have to restart your app completely because it does not run index.js every time. So let's just restart this. It'll be quick. Okay, and let's restart our local server. No Firebase app default has. Let's check it out. Maybe it may be just problems with Firebase right now because I just started a project. So let's go back to project settings. Okay, so now let's go back to our config right here. Let's make sure that this actually is for our web app. Yep, it is for our web app. Let's see, config for you, Firebase services. Let's copy it here. Good. All right, so now we have our Firebase config right here. Let's see if it's fine. Firebase app set up. Let's see. It may be because app.js might be running beforehand because it's in async. Okay, so right now let's just test it out right here. I think it's problems because I'm doing async right here. Let's just run it right in index right now, just to show how the database works. So now, oh, not that. Let's get our database right here. So we reference that by, again, firebase.firestore, right? And now let's actually read from our database again. So let's just log it out for now. Console.log db.doc dummy / and then let's get, what is our document called? Yeah, so dummy / test right here. That is our fake document. And let's actually just log it out like this. Okay, so now let's just log out our doc and see what we just get right now. Okay, so you guys should be familiar with what promises are, but basically what this is right here, this is like an asynchronous task. It basically won't clog up your code. So when you run this, it'll keep going on. So dot then is when after this is done, then do this. Okay, and right here it's it returns it takes in one parameter, which is the doc, which is what the doc get returns. Okay, now let's see what we log in the console. So we see we log a T right here. Okay, yeah. So right now it logged kind of the document we got right now. Let's go back to our Firestore here. And as you can see, right? Oh, did someone join yet? Okay, never mind. So as you can see right here, we kind of logged basically the document we got from our Firestore right now. I do have some bugs right here, but let me just check out what's happening. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so basically that's how you read from a document. And if you want to write from a document, what you can do is basically the opposite. So um, let's actually get into some other stuff. So db.collection right here is similar to db.doc, but instead it fetches a whole collection. So let's, for example, fetch the dummy collection. And let's do, and as you can see, we have a lot of stuff right here that we can do. But let's just get db.collection.dummy. And right now, let's just see what happens when I just log that db.collection, right? So when I just log this collection right here, just run it and it should automatically log. I'm getting some. Oh yeah, so as you can see right here, we basically just get gibberish from this right here, right? And the reason for that is that there is some more handling necessary for this db.collection. And basically what you have to do is, oh, did my screen stop sharing?
Yeah, stop sharing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, let me fix that real quick.
You're good.
Uh, check. Sorry about that. Let me see. I don't know why it disconnected me from it.
Yeah, you're good. No worries.
My co-host, or did I get like?
Yeah,
Because it
you're
just.
still a co-host. I don't know.
Uh, oh my, just check. Maybe I should try. Uh, could you like unco-host me and then reco-host me or something?
Yeah, I'll try that.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if you wanted to, you could leave and then rejoin.
Yeah, sure. I'll try that after. Let's just try the co-host.
All right, you're good.
Yeah, let me just restart my Zoom. I think it's a problem on my Zoom. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay.
You're good.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah. I tried rejoining. I couldn't rejoin, so I just restarted like my computer right now. Okay. Okay. So let me try sharing my screen now. All right, it's good. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So now going back to where did we leave off? Okay, yeah. So reading from the database. So let's actually read it in app.js now. Let's write to our database. So let's write to our what should we write? Yeah, so let's actually write to our document again. So let's do db.doc. Oh, there's some voice glitch. Okay, so now we know how to read from the document. Let's actually write to our database right here. So how we actually write to our database, there are a couple of ways. So one of the most simplest ways is you just reference to a doc and then write to that. So for example, we can just do db.doc and then let's do an example doc right now. Let's do dummy / and then let's make a new doc right here. So test. And there are a couple of ways to write to it. So right here, since this doc doesn't actually exist in our database right here, we can do .set. And what .set does is, if there is a document, it will override it. But what .set will do is it will set this document to whatever you define it to. So for example, let's set it to a, oh yeah, and it takes in some JSON, right? So let's have an example field and let's just fill it out with some random text. Okay. So now we have this dot set right here. Let's actually go to our thing right here. And let's actually refresh it. Oh yeah, index.js may not be read every time. So I should technically do it from app.js, but I'm getting some weird error. I'm not really sure. It might be due to because some Firebase stuff I have, because I do have like some stuff wrong with my account right now. So let's actually just try it out in the app.js right now. Okay, and let's make a kind of like a fake example function right here. And I'll say example, right? Okay, and then right here, let's just have a button just to kind of show off this feature right now. And then in this example document, let's what you do right here is for buttons, right? You do the same thing on click, right? Just exactly like HTML, right? Oh, is my mic glitched right now or?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
It sounds fun to me.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So on click, what you can do right here is it's super cool with React is you can just use these. Oh, my bad. I tapped in the wrong window. Okay. So on click is you can use these curly brackets, right? So you enter the JS world, and let's just call this example, right? Function. So let's do example, right? And you can see it automatically recognizes this set example, right? Right here. And if you guys are wondering why I do this example right equals a function instead of doing example right like that, that's more of React stuff. So you guys can kind of Google that up. Why do you use a anonymous function instead of a regular function in a class React component? But yeah, but you can just expect this as like a regular method in like Java or something. Okay, so now we call this function right here. This should work, or I might get that same error again I've been getting, but that might be that's just completely due to my Firebase account probably. But let's check it out. Yeah, so I'm getting this again. Let me do this right here. So let me just, what I'm basically gonna do is I'm just gonna move this to one file right here. And then let's just do this. Import Firebase again. Okay, and then let's just export Firebase. Okay, so now let's go back to app.js. Let's import the Firebase from /Firebase setup. Okay. Okay, yeah, so now everything is working. You usually don't have to do this. I think like in the new version of Firebase, like you don't have to do this, but I'm running an old version of Firebase for some reason. But yeah, you can do that if you get that error, if you get the same error as me. So now after doing this, let's actually test out. Oh, we don't really need this now. Okay. So example, right? db.doc dummy/test.set example field test. And let's write the database. And then let's see if, yeah, so you can see right here, we have our document written here. And this is just an example. This is just a really basic example right now, but let's actually just, we're kind of short on time. So I'm actually just gonna jump to user authentication, which can be super useful. So let's just kind of make a really quick, like a user sign up form. Let's do here. Let's just make it, let's just actually create the login thing first. So let's do right here. Let's make it say sign up. And this is the function that we're going to call when we're ready to sign up. And then let's say when we're signing up, we're going to pass it like some credentials. So we can say, oh, we can store that in this.say. We can, in our this.say, we can store like a username. And at the initial state, so when we construct it, it's just going to be blank. But we can store a password right here. And then let's store an email too. Okay, yeah. So right now it's just going to be basically blank. And when right here, when we get our credentials right here, so let's say creds right here. Oh, actually, no, this is this.state. Okay, so what signup would basically do is it'll take the username, email, and password and use that to sign up. Technically, all you need is email and password, but username is just like an additional thing I've added. You can add like other stuff like first name, last name, stuff like that. Let's get our database. So our database is initialized right here. And how you do this is you do firebase.auth. So auth stands for user authentication. And this is pretty obvious. It says create user with email and password, and it does exactly what it says. And it takes in two parameters, an email and a password. So I'll do this.state.email. Let me make this bigger. Yeah, okay. So this.state.email and this.state.password. Okay, so now we have both of those. Let's also, oh, no, that's all we need. Yeah. So after we fill that out, we basically create an account, and Firebase just does all of that for you. So you don't have to worry about any of that. And this returns a promise. So I'll use .then because I think async is giving me some problems. So .then, some data, some stuff, format that. Okay. So with this data, what this data returns is it returns like, it returns a JW token, a additional user information, and some other stuff, but we're not gonna really worry about that for now because Firebase does a lot of that for us. After signing up, let's actually, well, currently let's just let this be like this. So let's do an example username right here, example email right here. You're not gonna actually do this right here. You're gonna make a form right now, but I do have like 1 minute left, so I kind of have to do this. Example password right here. But what you would usually do is you would have a form right here, right? So you would have a form, and then you would have a bunch of fields, a username, an email, and password, and then have users enter it in through that form. Okay, so now after that, we're going to create our user account with this. So we can worry about this later, but yeah, so now let's actually just write the database, and then let's just see what happens. go to firebase.console. If you go to user authentication right here, oh, we do have the setup sign-in method. Let us enable E1 password. Yep, okay. All right. And dot after dot, then we can just say, I'm kind of rushing right here, but login false. This dot set state, hold state. And right here, basically, I'm just changing one field in the state. So you can just think of it as I'm just changing the logged in to true right now. Okay, so after we do that, and let's have a and right here we're just writing regular JS. So this is a ternary operator. You guys, I mean, I'm expecting you guys to know that, right? And let's return a H1, just say logged in, not logged in, signed up. And then else, let's return a thing not called not signed up yet. Okay, so let's go back to our React app right now. So you can see right now it's not signed up, and now let's actually write to our database. Yeah, so you can see we got our email right here. It still says not signed up for some reason. This does say that logged in. Not really sure why, but yeah, it should say signed up right now. But yeah, as you can see right now, we have our user account right there. Fortunately, I am out of time right now, so I can't really get into logging in. And then usually after this, what you would want to do is you also want to store in the username, right? Because we're not storing the username and you might have like first name, last name. So what you would want to do right here is you would also want to do a db.doc, and then in db.doc, you would want to, let's just say, for example, user slash, and then let's make it, actually, let's just do this, users slash, and then our username, right? And then you would want it to set it to, maybe we can have, maybe we have like a first name here. I didn't add it in, but we can have like a first name, a last name, and everything. So usually after signing up, you would want to write a document to your database. But this is just the core basics of signing up right now. And for logging in, I'll just show that really quick. It's pretty simple too. The auth dot sign in with email and password. Yeah, so it's literally just sign in with email and password, and that's how you log in with email and password. And you guys can probably guess it. You also use this state.email and also your password, right? And they store the password for you and everything like that. They return a JW token for you, and everything is kind of handled for you. Yeah, so I am out of time right now, but if you guys do have any questions about this, I mean, there's no live chat, but you guys can go to the Firebase docs right here. There's really great information right here. You guys can go to Cloud Firestore if you want to get more into the database stuff, so you can learn how to read data, write data, and you guys can use real-time database. It's a bit different than Firestore, but it's the same kind of structure, except it's not document based. So yeah. Switch back to my presentation. Is Soma on? Yeah. Okay. So thank you everyone for listening to this presentation. If you guys want to get more into React and Firebase, there's like great tutorials online and everything. You can obviously just read the docs. And if you want to check us out, you can check us out at STAC Programming at stackprogramming.com. We are mainly teaching middle schoolers in programming, but if you guys are want to like participate in like tutoring and stuff like that, we do have this kind of chapter thing. So what these chapters are is basically, as a chapter is that in your location, you guys will be like getting students. You guys will be teaching your students in your chapter. You guys will be hosting classes. So the classes that you guys can teach can be anything you guys want. Um, I mean, it has to be approved by us first, but it can be hardware related, software related. It could be web dev, it could be app dev, it could be really anything you want. And then you could teach middle schoolers. It's a great experience, and you can get money from that. You can have paid classes, or you can offer free classes too. So if you guys ever want to check us out at our email at our emails right there, or at our website at stackprogramming.com. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for letting me on.
Yeah. Thanks for the presentation.
Yeah, no problem. So